Okay, so during 2018, Laura Corporation completed the following transactions. So we got traded in old office equipment with book value of $70,000 and a cost of $164,000 and accumulated depreciation of $94,000 for new equipment. Laura also paid $60,000 in cash. The fair value of the new equipment is $137,000. Assume the exchange had commercial substance. Okay, so they got these three things that they want us to record, and we're gonna book those. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that. I did.
Okay.
Chapter 9.
We'll see you later.
See you.
Okay. So what happens is that I think it's repeated here. So we don't have to read through all of them because you see how it's repeated. So let's try the first one. So we traded in the old office equipment with a book value of 70. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to remove the cost. So the cost of that asset is sitting there as a debit, right? So at some point we're going to have to credit $164,000 and get rid of that cost. Okay, and at the same time we've got to get rid of the accumulated depreciation, which is sitting there as a credit. So we would have to debit accumulated depreciation. So I'm going to do that piece first. Take the $94,000 off. Okay, let me read on now. Okay, Laura also paid, so we're going to have a credit to cash in here somewhere. So you can kind of play around with it and get what you need in there first. And then the fair value of the new equipment is $137,000. So we have to book it at the fair value as the new equipment. Okay, and then we're going to be removing the old equipment. So I think I'll leave a space right here. Old equipment. I'll take it off of there. Okay, so remember the cost of the old equipment is $164,000. Okay. So now, remember from the very beginning, we have our debits and credits have to equal, right? So I do a little math over here, and I'm going to add up my debits. So I got $137,000, and I got $94,000. Okay. So when you add those two, you got $231,000. Okay. I'm just doing a little math here to show you what I'm doing. Okay. So you can actually do it right there in the journal entry. Okay. Now, on the credit side of this entry, I got $164,000 and I got $60,000. Okay. So those total to $224,000. So they're not equal. Okay. The debits are more than the credits. So I know I need an additional credit. So what we do is we just kind of get the difference, right? So you would take the difference of your debits and credits. So whatever my difference comes out to be, I'm kind of diagramming it for you here, but the difference equals 231 minus 224. So I got a $7,000 difference. So for me to make this journal entry balance, I need a $7,000 credit. That's why I left the space. Okay, it could have been debit, it could have been credit. It's just dependent on what side's larger. Okay, and normally you could just do this right in your journal entry, but I'm showing you my thought process over here in Excel. Okay, so the rule is, if it's a loss, it'll be debited. If it's a gain, it'll be credited. So the difference shows us that there is a gain, and we need to make a credit of $7,000. Okay, so it's almost like doing two things at once. You're doing the journal entry while you compute the gain or loss. Okay, so I'm going to label this a gain, gain on disposal. Oh, what did we do wrong? Oh, okay. Let me point that out. Yeah, right here. I need an explanation. Okay. So I got to choose one of their explanations. Record loss. Or we exchanged the old office equipment and cash for new office equipment. And it worked. Okay. So don't forget to put the memo in. Yeah.
Right.
So let's see if we can do the next one right in the, or kind of the same way we did it. So let me wipe this clean, and we can use this as our tool to figure those things out.
You're computing the gain or loss while doing the journal entry.
I could have just, yeah, right, while I did the journal entry. Yeah, or you could have come out here and you could have computed the gain or loss.
Right.
Long way. If you did it the long way, you'd end up doing the same math, right? You'd basically take the, you would probably net these two out because that's the book value, right? The difference between the old office equipment of 164 and the accumulated depreciation of 94. So let's just go old equipment less accumulated depreciation. That gives you the book value, which they actually give to you in the problem, right? This is the book value. Okay. So the way you compute gain or loss is the difference between really what you sell something for and its book value. Okay. That's what it would be. Okay. So you take care of each of these components and then you would flush out that number. That way. Okay, so what you're really getting is, let's see, you're getting 137 right? Because the cash is being paid, so this is cash paid, and then this is the positive, right? The fair value of the new equipment. Okay. So this is what you're actually netting, the value that you're getting, that from this exchange, you're getting this value, right? So if we were to take the difference between, it comes out to 7,000. You see that right there? Yeah. So you could diagram it out the long way. Let's see what happens next now. It says, we sold equipment that cost 12,000, and then they give you the accumulated depreciation of 2,500 through December 31st of the preceding year. Laura received 5,900 cash from the sale of the equipment. Depreciation is computed on a straight line basis. The equipment has a 5-year useful life and residual value of 0. Okay. So what we're missing here is they have not computed the depreciation expense up through the date of sale. I might have to wipe this out too. Okay. We start all the way clean, and okay. So you see, they're selling this on April 1st. Okay, and the reason they tell us that they computed the accumulated depreciation is 2,500 through December 31st of the preceding year. They're basically telling us that they have not computed the depreciation expense up through March 31st of this year. So we're going to have to do that first before we can actually do the journal entry to sell this. Okay, so and that's actually what it's walking you into it. It wants you to record the depreciation expense up through April. You see that first part of the entry there? So we're going to take this asset cost 12,000, right? There is no salvage value. Okay, so I'm doing the straight line formula here: costs minus salvage value. No salvage value, and they say that the asset's life, estimated life. What does it say here? A 5-year life, right? 5 years. Okay.
Yeah, 5.
So that'll give me my annual depreciation. So we'll go, that'll be 6,000, right? I'm sorry, 600. Let's see. No. 12,000 divided by 5 years. 2,400. My bad. Okay. But that would be the annual. The thing is, we haven't recorded 3 months of depreciation expense.
What, but it's sold in April. Oh, okay. If it's sold on April 1st, you only count it till March.
April 1st,
Right.
we haven't done anything. Right, it's
Right.
sold before April
Okay,
elapsed.
so 3 months in that.
Yeah, so you gotta take 3/12, which is 1/4,
So one.
or 25%, and multiply it by that annual amount. Okay, so that's the fraction of the year that you've owned it, or that you had it before you sold it, right?
Okay.
So 1/4 of that would be 600, right?
Okay.
So this would be your depreciation through March 31st. So that's what we're going to record. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to record depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation of 600. Okay, see how that works? And then by doing that, you may want to keep track.
What? Oh, okay. Record.
Okay, so you may want to keep track of the accumulated depreciation. It might not require you to have a T account, but I'm doing it anyway. It says that you had 2,500 sitting there, right? So this is up
So,
up through end of the previous.
is that what she received in cash? The 2,500?
No, that was the accumulated depreciation that was sitting in the accumulated depreciation account at the beginning of the year.
Where does it say that?
Up here in parentheses. You see April 1 sold equipment that cost 1,200. Accumulated depreciation of 2,500 through December 31st
Oh, okay.
of the previous year.
Alright, because I have a way larger number. I have 29,000.
Okay. So after we make this April 1st entry,
Okay.
notice there's a credit to accumulated depreciation, so that's actually going to go up by 600.
Okay.
So this is through 4/1 of the current year, right? Or through March 31st, right? So now we know what the balance is in the accumulated depreciation account, right? It'd be 3,100 on the date of sale. Right? We didn't have that before we made that journal entry. We didn't have an accurate accumulated depreciation balance.
To the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're all set up and we're ready to make the journal entry to show that we sold this asset. Okay? So I gotta look back up at the values here. It says sold equipment that cost 1,200. We've got cash. So we know we got cash. That's gonna be a debit to cash. We got cash of 5,900. Okay?
Okay.
And then I know that we have to get rid of this accumulated depreciation.
Okay.
Notice it has a credit balance here.
Mm-hmm.
When you get rid of it,
Debit.
you debit it, right? So that'll be 3,100. Okay? And then we have to get rid of the asset itself. So the asset cost us 1,200, right?
Cost.
When we bought it, originally bought it, it was
Right.
12,000.
12,000.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put that down here. I leave a space. Okay. So then you can eyeball it again, right? How much is your debit? How much is your credit? Okay. Let's see. Well, if I add up my debits, it looks like I got $9,000 on the debit side. If I add up my credits, I only have one credit sitting there. I only have 1,200. Or 12,000, I'm sorry. So I got 9,000 debit, 12,000 credit. Okay. So I need 3,000 more, and I need 3,000 more on the debit side. Okay. And then the rule, right? The rule is debits are losses and credits are gains. So in this case, it's going to be a loss on disposal.
Oh, it's a loss.
Yeah. Because it's a debit, right?
Right.
That's to record the sale of the asset or the sale of the equipment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good because you gotta make sure you capture all that depreciation up until the date of sale, and I guess it's probably not going to always be sold at exactly at year end or exactly at the beginning of the year. So you're going to have that partial depreciation that has to be captured. Some companies may record depreciation expense monthly, so it might be a little cleaner. But a lot of times it's done annually in the process of closing the books, right, to make the financial statements. Okay. Oh, okay. Record depreciation on the office equipment. Office equipment is depreciated using the double declining balance method over 4 years with a $7,000 residual value. Okay. Let's see. What office equipment are they talking about? Are they talking about the new office equipment? I'm going to assume that. Okay. Okay. So we got the office equipment sitting there at 137,000. That's the amount that we're going to start off with. And they want me to record the depreciation expense using the double declining balance. So double declining balance depreciation expense is computed by taking the assets book value times twice the straight line rate. So you're going to double the straight line rate. Okay. So you're going to take the assets book value. Well, the asset had no accumulated depreciation at the beginning of the year.
Right.
So the book value is the asset's cost. Okay, so in this case, the new equipment is 137,000. I'm going to take 137,000 and I'm going to multiply it by twice the straight line rate. So let's see. They're saying that it would be a 4-year life
With no residual value.
with no residual value.
And it would be a 2-year life.
So the easiest way to do it is say, well, the straight line life would be 1/4, right? 1/4 per year. And you just multiply that by 2. I'll put the 2 in front of that. So you can, because I'm saying twice the straight line rate. So it would be 2 times, and then I'll bracket this so you can see. So what I'm doing in there is I'm doing, inside those brackets, that's twice the straight line rate. Okay?
Okay.
2 times 1/4. Because if it has a 4-year life, then it'll be 1/4 per year. Okay? And if you take twice that rate, it'll be 2/4 per year, or a half per year. Okay?
Or half, yeah.
Yeah. So in our case, the book value is the cost, cause it's the first year, times. Okay, I have the math showing there. So we would record depreciation expense office equipment and accumulated depreciation office equipment. To record depreciation on office equipment. Got 'em?
To record depreciation on office equipment.
Yeah. Works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just be careful. I think the mistake was we forgot to put one of the memos in.